What's up, guys? We are talking all about wholesaling. Specifically today, actually, one of my favorite topics is teach you how to scale to get to 100K. Now, if you're new to wholesaling, this is not a get rich quick scheme. In fact, it's kind of a get rich slow and learn the process. I'm going to show you how to do it because I've been right in your seat starting out, struggling to get my first deal. And fast forward to 21 years, 100K's a piece of cake a month. This did not happen overnight. I'm not selling you anything. I have no program to sell you. I just want to share the knowledge in this head because it's exploding right now. So, wholesaling, I love it. We're in 2024, one of the most amazing times to get started in wholesaling. But let's walk through what does the process look like. And even if you've never done a deal, you're going to get value from today's live stream because I'm going to show you what works to start out and how you progress. And what I'll do is we'll jump over to this whiteboard here if we have time, and we'll walk through timelines, expenses, and we'll talk about maybe the amount of employees it would take to do this. So without further ado, let's jump into this and let's get it. So we're talking all about scaling today. So first thing you have to do is you got to define, hold on. Let me change this. You have to define what scaling is. And if you don't know what definitions are, things are a struggle. So, scaling sounds like fish scales. Here's the one thing. Here's how I derive. So, I'm a fisherman by trade. I just love to fish. One of the greatest hobbies in the world. Most expensive, too. Fish have a ton of scales on them. You'll never make a fish with one scale. And actually, sometimes there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of scales. And so someone will use a scaler and descaling them. Maybe that's the origins of scales. I don't know. I just kind of made that up, but I thought that was kind of pretty cool. So if you understand scaling, what does scaling? Scaling means to expand your business, to do processes instead of doing it manually, create a process where you can leverage others, you can leverage other lists, you can leverage other types of marketing mediums so you can duplicate the result. And instead of doing one deal, you could do 5 deals, 7 deals, 10 deals, 15, 20 deals. That's all scaling is. So how we use to leverage the scale is what we're going to talk about today. So understanding scaling equals growth. Bottom line, there's no other way this is cut, guys. Scaling equals growth. If you don't scale, it's very hard for you to manually grow. Now, in the beginning, you're going to grow like crazy because you're doing 0 deals, and some of you might get up 5, 6, 7 deals. That's not scaling. So what we're going to talk is when we start you off in the beginning is we manually explode your business. You manually explode your business. You learn how to talk to people, most importantly, how to connect with them. Then you're going to become a master negotiator, and then you're going to be the king of dispo. And you've got to master that process first before you even consider scaling, because without the fundamentals of wholesaling, meaning marketing, acquisitions, and dispositions, scaling doesn't work. In fact, there's people out there trying to sell you guys programs on how to scale your business, and you haven't even done your first deal. So before you even look at any type of scaling system, you've got to master the fundamentals. And how we teach you in wholesaling, the fundamentals, number one, you learn them over at freewholesaling.com. If you haven't done a deal or you're just trying to scale, start there. Don't worry, I got nothing to sell you there. Once you do that, then you just get better at your processes. And as you get better with your process, you start to make more and more money. We're going to talk about the time frame for this. I'm going to save that for the end because that's important. So if we know scaling basically equals growth, in the beginning, when you guys start this, your growth comes from your manual effort. And I don't want to discount it. Honestly, your first 5 deals are the most important wholesaling deals you'll ever do in your life. I guarantee you this. There is no exception for this. You've got to understand this. So when we do that, when you start to get under deal number 5, you need to consider some sort of scaling method to explode your business. Because after 5 deals, the reality is your manual effort will eventually burn you out. I see wholesalers all the time. In fact, if you're the person on the phone closing everybody and you've been in this business for years, you're manually trying to grow your business, you'll still make money, but eventually you're probably going to burn out. How do I know this? That was me. I did everything the first 7 years. Why? Because I thought I knew it all. I didn't know it all. In fact, I was so good at talking with sellers, I didn't think anybody else could do it. And I convinced myself I had to do it. And I was the biggest problem in my own growth. So if you are growing your business, first identify where you are. If you haven't done a deal, then this is easy. You're in the startup stage. You got to get to the first 5 deals. End of story. Until you get to 5 deals, don't even consider scaling. Here's the reality. I'm going to tell you the truth that no other guru is going to tell you. If you can't get 5 deals under your belt, and I don't put a time frame on it, but like within a couple of years, you got to ask yourself, is wholesaling for me? It's just the truth. It's not for everybody. Not everybody agrees with my theory on it, but I've been around this business 21 years. And I'm telling you, if I have someone that's been in the business for years and they haven't got the deal 5, I'm not sure I want to be their business partner. In fact, I'm quite sure, because if you can't get it done, there's something not clicking. Now, some people blame their market. Some people blame the software. At the end of the day, if you truly want something to happen, you have to make it your must. So scaling is growth. So if you're starting out and trying to get your first deal through your first 5 deals, this is kind of a futuristic look at how things are going to be. But you're going to learn a lot in this live stream, I promise. So rule number 1, I like to make the fishing analogy because I just love going out in nature and being out on the ocean, the lakes, the rivers. And the rule of thought. So I went fishing yesterday. Great trip. Awesome tuna bite. But once we got a bite on a tuna in an area, we stay there. Why? Because you ever heard the old fisherman's adage where you where you basically you leave biting fish to go try to find a better bite? It is ridiculous. You don't want to do that. In fact, if you do that, you're probably going to screw yourself over. You guys do it all the time in wholesaling. You're getting deals in a certain area that you're farming, and you decide to go bigger and badder, and you stopped doing what actually worked for you. So what I'm here to tell you, and I learned this yesterday, is never leave fish that are biting. It is tempting. The grass is always greener on the other side. This is how most gurus trap you into buying all this crap that's never going to benefit you. And if you understand that, keep doing what's working. That's the secret to scaling. Because once you get your 5th deal, you can't stop what you did to get deal 1 to 5. Because if you do, you're going to go broke. Because scaling is going to be another uncomfortable position that you're going to have to learn to do it. I'm telling you, this is my personal experience, and I have verified it with thousands of other investors. You see, in wholesaling, you're constantly going to be challenged to be uncomfortable, but every uncomfortable hill you climb, you become stronger. End of story. You become bigger, you become badder, and you become much wiser on how to do wholesaling and how to master it to become financially free. There's no way around it. If you don't do it, somebody else will school you on it. So rule number 1, keep doing what's working. So I'm going to run you through a little list. And this is just a recap of the basics of the fundamentals of wholesaling. Number 1, if you're working government lists, keep working them. Don't stop it. Because this is the biggest mistake you can take in wholesaling, is you stopped doing what works. So if I'm a fisherman and I'm catching fish in a spot and they're coming in on a regular basis, why on earth in this big pool of body of water, ocean, river, lake, whatever it is, why am I going to go guessing to find out where I can catch the next fish when I already got a roadmap where the gold is? I have a fishing hot spot and I'm bailing them in. And I considered doing this yesterday. Thank God I didn't do it, because it worked out really well for me. So the bottom line is, guys, make sure you always keep doing what's working. In fact, when I talk to people on Flip with Rick Plus, one of the rules is if you stop doing what's working, it's going to break on you. And so while you're scaling, because it's going to take some time to learn scaling, you still got to have that money coming in. So I always tell you guys, if you're not marketing, you're going to die in this business. So keep doing what you're doing. I can't emphasize this point enough. Please do not change it. If you change it, it's going to be challenging. So if you're implementing your government list, you're doing the reverse driving for dollars, keep doing it. But Rick, man, it's like double time work. I got to learn the scaling and I got to go out and do all these tactics. Well, guys, welcome to wholesaling. This is how it works. There's no other way around it. So if you're doing reverse driving dollars with government lists, keep doing it. You're going to hear a common theme in this over and over. Next, if you're doing driving for dollars, keep doing it. So in essence, you're going to have two jobs. You're going to have your manual wholesaling job. And remember, this is what got you through your first 5 deals. And I want you to continue it because you're going to need another 4 or 5 to survive to get through the scaling method. Why? Scaling is going to cost you some money. End of story. There's no way around it. So if you understand that, use your government list. You're doing a reverse driving for dollars. You're doing driving for dollars. Maybe you're doing some door knocking, whatever it is. Keep doing that. I can't emphasize this enough to you. So many of you leave one to like try to do something you think is going to be easier, and you're going to find out the hard way. It's going to require capital. It's going to require an intense amount of time to learn it, and you are going to go broke if you stop doing what worked. So if I have not made myself crystal clear, do not leave fish that are biting. Stay in the same spot, keep getting them, and then you can start training on how to do the scaling and getting your system set up, because it's going to take some time and you're going to be wildly uncomfortable. It's perfectly normal. You're going to be just as uncomfortable when the day I had you start wholesaling. So if you understand that going into it, we have a clear vision. Keep doing what's working, whatever got you that deal number 5. Maybe you're on deal number 3. Keep pushing till you get there. I don't want you to scale till you get to like 5 deals, at least 5 deals under contract. Why? Because that's how you're going to cut your teeth on the fundamentals of wholesaling. Everybody has to go through it. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how well connected you off. Okay. If you don't understand the fundamentals of wholesaling, you are going to get killed. End of story. So now that I've beaten that point home, because it's very, very important to me, let's get into the scaling part. So once we know we have a base and we're going to keep doing it. So this is just like you people working your corporate job, your manual wholesaling, you got to keep working that job. The next one we're going to jump over, the easiest and most simplest scaling method, you know exactly what I'm going to say because a lot of you already employed in it, is direct mail. Now, before you start throwing a temper tantrum or anything with direct mail, let me give you a little crash course here. For the last 6 years, maybe 7, there was a huge push for data. Why? Because data became very publicly available. And when data becomes publicly available, people crash the market. Well, the problem is SMS just got hammered. RVM was amazing, pretty much outlawed, depending on what state you're in, definitely in my states. And then the advent of doing triple line dialers with cold calling. And they say, just get all this information and crash, get everybody in it. Well, we've got problems because now the data is much cheaper. There's more people doing it than ever. And people are getting inundated with these marketing techniques. So what everybody thought was a quick cheat sheet way to leverage marketing mediums is now starting to blow up in our own face. You guys know what I mean? SMS, the carriers have cracked down on it. And it doesn't matter what software you use until we can figure a way to crack the code on the carriers busting us. SMS is challenging. It still works, but the spam likely thing is out of control on it, and it's a challenge. And I want you to understand going into that. So RVM, pretty much illegal or soon to be illegal. Cold calling, the saturation levels are high. Let's just admit it. It is what it is. So you all did these methods to avoid direct mail. Why? Oh my God, it's so expensive. I cannot do it. Well, guys, I'm here to tell you, you're in 2024. We're in May. And I'm telling you, the one thing you got to understand about direct mail, here, I'll show you. Ready? We'll call it DM. It's legal. You understand that? It's 100% illegal. It can't be stopped. It's the United States Postal Service, and it doesn't stop. Now, here's what I want to tell you. I'm just going to give you a quick crash course on this because everybody freaks out. They're like, oh my God, direct mail, that's horrifying. How do I make that work? Direct mail is simple. I've been doing it over 18 years now. And I had all the same problems you guys did. You know what I do? Is I would write a big fat check or a credit card. At the time, it was a check. And when I wrote that check, I literally freaked out. On average, what did I write a check for? Around $2,500. That was just in one campaign, 1 month. Does everybody understand that? I had some of the most nerve-wracking pain when I wrote these checks. I was broke, dude. Like I would do a deal and then I got to the point like, okay, I'm way over 5. How do I scale this? Someone goes, hey, you got to do direct mail. The guessing game started for 2 years. I did everything wrong. I lost a lot of money and I figured out direct mail. I'm one of the few people in the country that understands direct mail extremely well. In fact, once you understand direct mail, it is highly profitable, very predictable, and one of the best scaling methods. This is why I like direct mail so much. Now, hold on before I get into it because ADA is kicking in. $2,500 a month. And then I would wait. I wait for the phones to ring. I was very impatient. I would need to get that $2,500 back before the bill came due on a credit card or a check. And then how long would you wait? Here's the challenge with direct mail. On average, direct mail takes 90 days to get your ROI. Does everybody understand that? But here's the mindset everybody talks about direct mail. They want instant results. That's what everybody wants. So here's what the marketers did in wholesaling is they presented you expensive data. I'll give fair to it got traction. I knew it wouldn't last because there was too many people blitzing it and everybody wanted to get the instant results. So now here we are at the instant results stage. And you're all struggling to find any type of marketing that gets instant results. Now, you know, the argument I'm going to come up with is, do you want to run a marathon or you want to be a sprinter? Everybody that did the instant results on the data craze, we're going to stack lists. We're just sit there and do cold call boiler rooms. We're going to like send out 100,000 texts. They're all lost. They don't know what to do. And the fact is, if you made so much money over that time, just jump back to direct mail. Why? It's legal. It's scalable. Here's the downside. You're going to have to wait 90 days to get your return on your investment. Oh my God. That sounds terrible. Well, let's talk about the average return for direct mail. So I know a thing or two about direct mail. Number one, it's legal. Number two, we said it's legal. It's scalable. I probably didn't spell that right, so don't sit there and you're not using me for the grammar. What works best? Postcards, hands down. What's the average cost for a postcard? I want to say it's like 56 cents. 56.56 cents. So let's do some math here. What is the minimum amount of postcards you should send in a mailer? I would never do anything less than 1,000, and I would say a minimum of 1,500. That's just beginning numbers. You guys are sending out 200 and 300 mailers outside of probate. You're wasting your time and money. It is not a big enough statistical data to get a deal. Sorry. And the reason I have you start small is because I'm going to teach you how to pull your markets, how to get the information, and then how to institute what we call a direct mail schedule and forecast. But you got to start small in the beginning so you understand how all the pieces go together. I'd love you to send out 20,000 pieces. I do that all the time, but I'm here to tell you you have to do it systematically. So let's figure like this. Say you're going to send out 3,000 postcards. Not a bad start. And 0.56, that's basically $1,680. And that's 3K pieces. 1680. You're like, oh crap, they're going to hit my credit card. Like, how do I get a return on this? On average, if you will wait the 90 days, you will get a 2 times return. You tell me any other business or any other marketing method that will pretty much hands down give you a 2 times return. But what do people do? They send out 500 pieces and then they go on Instagram, they go on Facebook, they go on social media, they go, direct mail doesn't work. It's like a slow slug giant. And I tried, it just doesn't work. You're right. It doesn't work because you don't understand the rules of the game. Let me give you an example. If you ever play somebody in Monopoly, most people, 90% of the people who play Monopoly, they have never read the rule book. I found this out the hard way. The minute you read the rule book of Monopoly, you will destroy 90% of your opponents statistically. Why? Because they just understand the generics of the game. Mom and dad paid when you were young and you didn't understand you could do all that stuff. Guys, who has been abused in Monopoly? I was abused as a child Monopoly. I didn't understand the rules of the game of money. And if you try to apply the poor man's mentality to Monopoly, you will get killed. In fact, once you learn how to do loans and securitize mortgages and spread your risk out, you can nail people because people are always looking to get the bling and look good. You've got to understand it. So 90 days of 2 times return. So that means the 1680 turns into 3360. Now, it's not a huge win, but remember, this is the part where you're learning how to scale your business. That's why it's so important you don't stop doing what works in the beginning. Because I just taught you how to do a 2 times return. It's going to take you 90 to 100 days on average. Most of you quit in a week or two because you freak out. Mail is a different technique. It is a different process, and you have to understand that. So let's fast forward now. Say you're 3 to 6 months into it. Now you're going to get braver. Here's the key. I only made you a 2 times return. So say you spend $4,000 on direct mail total. How do I spend $4,000? Well, I got to divide it. This is where I should have paid attention to math. That's basically 7,100 pieces. 7,100 pieces of mail. Now, I told you before, on average, when you start out, you get a 2 times return. So if I put $4,000 into it, you make $8,000. Like, God, Rick, this is like Vegas. I can keep doubling my money. No, it doesn't work that way. There is a learning curve on this. But the reality is you're eventually going to go to 3 times. Then you're going to go to 4 times. And then when you become a master, like me, you are going to get a 5 times return. Insane. Let me show you some numbers. $4,000 times 3, that's going to get you 12K, 16K, and this is going to get you 20K. Guys, this is how you scale a business. It's scalable, it is legal, and here's my favorite part of it. You ready? My favorite part of direct mail. And this is why I use it as one of the beginning transition pieces for people looking to scale their wholesaling business, especially in the first year, definitely by year 2. One person can do this. You don't have to go out and hire a giant staff. I'm teaching you how to scale with what you have. Because first you had to master wholesaling. Once you mastered wholesaling, then you had to figure out how to scale it. Well, how do I scale it without getting buried in employee overhead? You do it through direct mail because it only takes one person. Now, at the end of this, I'm going to go over the numbers and share with you on how it works. But guys, direct mail, anyone who tells you it doesn't work, they don't understand, they don't do it. I don't know any large wholesaler in the United States that does not employ direct mail. Go find me one. Oh, I got a PPC guy. Yeah, I guarantee they sell a PPC course. If you're truly into wholesaling and you're not into coaching and you like to do wholesale deals, direct mail is a must. It's scalable. And every time I spend my money, if I spend 10K, I get 50K in return. Now, it averages out. It's never perfect per quarter, but that's what my company expects to derive from. Simply, we are consistent, we are disciplined, and we never stop doing it. I love it. It works. Now, I've learned a thing or two over the last 18 years of wholesaling. So if you guys ever heard of, we call it the ROS postcard. That stands for Rapid Offer System. I created this because I got lazy in wholesaling, especially in direct mail, and I kept using, that Google image people use. Everybody saturated, it got ridiculous. And so I created a system. And people ask me, what are the two biggest complaints we get from our wholesaling, from people who are trying to wholesale houses? Number one, get me off your list. I can't do anything about that complaint. This is literally going through hundreds of thousands of responses in our database. And number two is, what is your offer? And I started thinking, I go, man, what if we just gave them the offer? Oh, Rick, no. Every guru taught you in this country, you never give your offer first. Well, guess what we did? We decided just to change it, because if everybody's doing the exact same thing, we're just going to do the opposite. Why? Because a lot of people get direct mail pieces. So if they get 7 pieces of direct mail and one guy, and it ever says, call to get your offer, call to get your offer, call to see if you qualify your offer, and Rick Ginn just gives you the offer, voila, I am the first one called every time. And guys, it happens over and over in my business. Now, ROS took me 2.5 years to develop. And what we did is we tested. I spent over $70,000 in direct mail cost. I'm talking about physical mailing, a lot of mailings. When I first did it, I learned I put too much on the postcard and it was too busy. The next mailing I did is I put too low of an offer. I think I did 5,000 pieces and I got 2 phone calls. So I offered I did a go for no. And this is what emphasizes my point. The go for no only works when you develop an amazing relationship with people. You guys understand that? I want you to understand that. Go for no is very, very important, that you develop a relationship. My next mailing, I offered way too much. And you know what happened? I got absolutely inundated with retail sellers, and we couldn't even keep up with the phones. So what we did is start dialing in the data. And I figured out over 2.5 years, I know the exact rough number that people are looking to sell their house for a discount that have a problem with their house. They want to get rid of the realtor. They want to get rid of the closing cost. And they don't want all that inspection and contingency period. So we figured out a number. It's all in ROS. I give the whole damn thing away for free. I'm telling you, I have 18 years of experience. It works like magic. And here's the cool part is ROS is set up where you can't mass produce it all over the country. There's intricate details in there that you can copy. You can do the ad copy. I don't care, but you're not going to figure it out on your own. And I did this by design because I learned from the last 6-7 years, the gurus, when they filled up the room with thousands of people, they go, I have a secret technique. Once you put it out there, it's not a secret anymore. It's not a secret. ROS in the right hands is one of the most deadly direct mail pieces for scaling you can ever do. Why? Because I've got a couple hundred people across the country that do it with my specialized training. And by the way, I don't charge the train for this. If you want to learn how to do it, go over to mailingmastery.com. Once again, I'm completely different than any other teacher or guru out there. I give you the information and I want you to harvest it to do deals. Why? Because I want you to do deals with me. So how do I prove myself? I create so much value. I give you things that actually work because I want to partner with you on deals. And then you guys go out and strategize them. Now, Mailing Mastery will give you the crash course on how to do this. I talk about the psychology of a seller and why this works. For those of you old school sellers out there that say, old school wholesalers that say, you have to not give the offer to make wholesaling work. Just, you don't understand. If you want to be like every other wholesaler out there, take that mentality, because that's how people think. I'm going to do it differently. I'm the guy who's going to read the rules to the game and like Monopoly. And I'm going to be one of the 10% special people. I'm going to kick 90% of the wholesalers' butts out there. Who cares who gives the offer first? If you use my strategy of the go for no, I don't even care what I offer on the postcard. The whole goal of direct mail, just so you know, is to engage the prospect to call you legally and ethically. That's it. And unless you understand that rules, I see postcards all the time because I get them on all my properties. It reads like a monologue, like a book. Like you might as well go get a teleprompter. If you're not confident in like on how to qualify people, then do that method. You should have the least amount of information on a postcard humanly available. There's got to be a call to action. There's got to be a reason to call me to help you. If I spell everything I do on the postcard, I don't want to call you. And the fact is, people have less than like a 6-7 second attention span when looking at a postcard. If they can't wrap their head around it, I want them to recognize their address, their name, and the offer price within 5 seconds of reading that postcard. That's it. You want to go out and duplicate my postcard and knock yourself out. But unless you're going to do extensive testing, you're literally wasting your time. I'm not going to put this where it gets in millions of people's hands. In fact, I met with a special guru, like consulting client, like great people, but they wanted me to charge 10 grand just to get access to it. You obviously know I didn't do that, but I've made so much more money on doing deals with everybody that tunes into me and Zach. I look for the marathon. I don't look for the sprint. The sprint takes the money because I constantly have to take money. I have to sell a Novations course. Now they tell you, all the gurus tell you, Novations really don't work and they're really messy and I really advise against it. What did I tell you guys 2-3 years ago? It's a train wreck. It is a course grab. That's all it is. I'm sorry. End of story. I can go down the line. There's so many techniques being offered right now. Now, the next thing is people are telling you, get rid of your short-term rentals. They don't work anymore. I'm like, yeah, it's funny. For the last 4 years, you said it's the greatest thing in the sliced bread. The problem is at some point you have to come up and run a marathon. It's okay to sprint through a season, but if you sprint to each season, you will never make it. And listen, I saw the Airbnb disaster way down. Too many people got into it. Everybody put it in. It's like a software. It's like the Uber or real estate. And listen, I've already told you, short-term rentals work for exotic locations where people want to visit and go on vacation. They do not work in major metropolitan areas where people are just trying to get by. I'm sorry. They're never going to work. And there's a reason why all these cities are outlawing it. And by the way, there's a bunch of new techniques coming in. Someone's going to come out with another software. I know there's all sorts of software out there. And now everybody talks about affordable housing. I'm all about affordable housing, but it's got to make sense. You can't just keep chopping up houses because I know in the cities I live in, you're not allowed to reside more than one family member and a guest can't stay, I think, more than like 10 days. So eventually they're going to like, I don't want like 15 rooms rented out next to me on like a pad split. Now I'll sell the pad split buyers all day long. Like, don't get me wrong, but I think there's a lot of problems with that one coming down the pipeline. Once again, it's a quick money grab and you're going to see courses coming out of it left and right. So understand this: direct mail, ROS. If you want to learn more about mailingmastery.com, this is the first place I'm going to go to scale my wholesaling business. Why? Because I can do it by myself. It's scalable and everything can be done on a home computer and be done quickly and simply. Now, you're going to have to answer phones in the beginning. Once again, you have to learn how to answer your phones live. For the longest time, gurus told me, don't ever answer your phone live. Screen it through a message. I ate these people for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Why? Because when someone got 7 postcards, they go through and they make 4 phone calls and then they get to me. And guess who answered the phone live? Hey, listen, I tell every seller, listen, I appreciate you calling me. I need you to do me a favor. Don't call any of these other postcards back till I meet with you and see if we can form an agreement. Is that fair? I circled the boats. I didn't let anybody in. Why? Because I knew they had 7 postcards. I knew mine was the most attractive postcard. And even if they called them in logic of order, whoever answered the phone got the deal. That's the secret to direct mail. Now, you can easily do this yourself. We're going to go over the numbers and show you how to do it. The next scaling is going to be JV partners. Yeah, JV partners. In fact, there's people in our live comments right now that are willing to connect with you and work a deal with you. So if you don't have an experience and you don't know how to write contracts and you don't have good cash buyers, but you have a motivated seller, Go find somebody in your market or someone nationally or Rick and Zach, and we'll work with you. And if it's a good enough deal, we can fund it. It's got to make sense. We like to do assignments, but I rather you make some money than no money. My favorite thing is a 50-50 split. For the longest time, the last 6-7 years, a lot of gurus went out there and said, just pay someone 20% to help you sell the property. No, I don't get out of bed for 20% of a profit split. It doesn't make any type of sense to do that. And listen, don't be greedy. Both make money together. And if you enjoy that person, you continue the relationship or you can do more deals. Go find a skill set that will complement yours, something you're really weak at, and have them do that. I was really good at connecting with people. I was terrible at disposition, so it was easy for me to find a JV partner. There are a lot of Ricks. There's a lot of Zachs out there looking to do deals with you. Reach out to them. We have plenty of members in our community that want to do deals, that are very good at doing it. But for God's sakes, guys, you can do more deals like JV partnerships. They're everywhere. Now, one of the best ways to find JV partners is go to your local RIA meetup groups. Once again, I'm going to beat it like a drum. Pay whatever membership, the fees to get into their door interest is. Usually the first time you go, it's for free. And pay attention before the event and network like crazy. Don't go there and like be an introvert, not talk to anyone, because it defeats the entire purpose of it. And then after the event, it's even better. Everybody hangs around. Sometimes people get a bite to eat and a drink. It is perfect. The parking lot, I did more damage in a RIA parking lot than I ever did inside that room. Now, they're going to sell you a bunch of courses. It's all a money grab. I'm just telling you, people come into town, they split it with the host, and then you never see them again. I'm sure they're not all bad, but for the most part, that's one of the reasons I got out of the RIA business, because I can't promote crap. Let me show you how to be your own general contractor. Really? No, I want to teach you how to be a wholesaler. So I will tell you, JVs is an amazing opportunity. It's a big part of my income now. So if I'm still scaling it, you should consider scaling it with JVs. Why? Because it absolutely works. Now, the next one, to me, is a no-brainer. When you go through wholesaling, not every deal is going to be picture perfect. Some people are going to owe too much money. And the reality is, if you truly want to help people, you've got to load your weapons in your tool belt to help people out. Now, I'm a strong adamant. Me and Zach speak out loudly when we know something doesn't work. It's our opinion. You can do what you want. But I've been doing wholesaling 21 years, and I'm telling you, this next one's, it's been around forever. It's been around for hundreds of years. It wasn't created recently. It's creative financing. Now, in my opinion on creative financing, when you are the only solution to people that have low equity, and you can take over payment at a low interest rate and a reasonable monthly number, then do it. It's simple. And here's what I don't want you to do. Don't go into creative financing thinking you can avoid wholesaling. Oh, it's so much easier. That's just a big white lie. I'm sorry. All great, in my opinion, great, really good creative finance people, they all had like the roots in wholesaling in the beginning. They understand what's a deal. They know the deepest discount, and then they graduate to the next level. Now, I don't market specifically for creative financing. When it lands in my lap through my wholesaling leads, I take them down. And to me, is you can never make somebody do a creative financing deal. Either it works or it doesn't. And remember, I'm not in the business of selling anything in wholesaling. Creative financing is even more important, that you have full cooperation to do the deal. Now, I don't teach every technique in creative financing because I do not believe it is a beginner strategy. Once again, this is my opinion. Do whatever you want. There has to be some responsibilities taught into this. Creative financing can get really gray. What do I mean by this? You have to have full transparency with your seller. And usually for the most part, most people teach it and they go, yes, you're honest with them up front. Let them know what you're doing with the property. Here's where I do not subscribe to the theory. Whenever there's an outside financing source like a bank, credit union, or anything like that, you have to disclose everything. I'm sorry. If you don't disclose everything, it is 100% fraud. So if you have a deal with the seller to refinance the property after or float their down payment back, if you don't disclose that in your loan documents, you're going to have a problem. In fact, there is a famous person right now that might have been our ex-president that they're trying to nail for this right now. If they can nail him, they can nail you. I'm just telling you, if you have an outside agreement, you have to disclose it. If the agreement happens after you purchase it and they agree to it, it's fine. But the problem is when you're manipulating, especially on the higher purchase price, and people tell you, don't tell your lender, I'd be very careful because that's going to wind up in an affidavit if something goes wrong with that property. So you can do what you want to do. I'd make sure you have the advisement of a legal person, like a lawyer, if you're going to do something like that. Remember, if you hide a material fact, you're technically committing fraud. Now, how many people get pursued on that? Not a lot. But if someone gets rubbed the wrong way or the property goes in foreclosure, you could be open up to a lot of investigation. This is why I don't teach creative financing to like brand new people. And I always encourage you to pair up with someone that can help you take the deal down, because I did creative financing in the beginning and I picked the absolute worst time to do it. At the peak of the market, I took down 5 properties, actually 7. 5 I wound up keeping, and I got rid of all of them. And 3 out of the 5, I actually gave back to the seller under the advisement of a lawyer because rents went down 50%. I did not have the pockets to carry these properties, and I started creative financing too soon. And I didn't understand the legal paperwork, what I was signing, and I had some problems. It took me about 1.5 years to unwind, and I stayed away from creative financing for a few years. And I go, listen, they kept so when the market really was bad in 2010, 11, I was buried in creative financing. I go, I better learn this. And I started making money, and then I got really good at it. And that was my story. So which ones did I do? I love subject twos. That's when you take over existing financing. I will tell you, the federal government is trying to crack down on this. There's such widespread bad information out there. And remember, I want to say 75 to 80% of mortgages are backed by Fannie and Freddie Mae. And that means the United States government's backed them. So the government can shut this down almost overnight. If it gets too inundated, there's a lot of complaints. They could basically restrict you from doing a subject to taking over any loan that's insured by the federal government, being a Fannie Mae or a Freddie Mac. And that would suck. And people are like, oh, there's no way they can do it. They can do it. If they're backing almost 75% of the mortgages, they can just put a clause in there and make it, they'll make a penalty so great you never want to do it. Now, before you do a subject to, make sure you have all the material facts because you're taking it over subject to the existing terms of the property. Now, the finance, you've got to work with the seller. They got to be 100%, 10% cooperative. There's a risk of a due on sale clause, all sorts of stuff. But for the most part, if you do it right and you make money up front, you make monthly cash flow, and you make money at the end, go for it. This is how you make money. The latest craze is where people are writing big checks up front, and then they're not making a ton of cash flow. They're making some, and they have no idea what their exit strategy is. That means you made absolutely no money, and you're just waving the brag flag. I did a creative financing deal. You beginners can't afford to do that. You can't write $40,000 and $50,000 checks. So you're going to have to get deals. Most of my creative financing is little to no money down at all. Period. End of story. I'm not taking over properties $50,000 unless it's a personal investment or a personal buy I want to do. Nor should you as a beginner wholesaler. So the other ones I did are options. You guys overlook options. Options are a great way to scale your business. And an option is an easy way to basically say, listen, I want to option your property for $300,000 and I have 2 years to make good on it. Once I have the rights, you have to record it in public record. You now have an interest in the property. And if you can sell that property or find a higher and better use, you can earn anything over that $300,000. Now, you're going to have to pay a fee to do that. I've optioned $500,000 properties for less than $1,000. Why? Well, Rick, that's risky. No, actually, I got a 50-50 probability I can make at least $50,000 or more on it. Now, if you want to add another layer to creative financing, you can do what we call lease options. And they're basically 2 separate techniques combined. So basically, I option your property. I give you $1,000 up front for a future price that I guarantee price locked in, might be 3 years or 5 years, say for $300,000. And then I go out and I take your property with full permission and rights to lease it back. I find a renter or I find a long-term leaser or a rent-to-own type of person. They give me 10 grand up front. I pocket like 8 or 9 grand. And then basically I'm paying that person $2,000 a month. They're paying me $2,500 a month. I make $500 a month and then I sell it to them for $350. I have an option price of $300. The two have to be completely separate. I'm not giving you legal advice here, but these things work. The key to these is they have to be really nice houses. You can't go in and do massive rehab on them. I want houses that most need a little bit of paint, maybe an appliance, or like one room needs carpeting. That's it. Why? Because time is money. If you keep making payments and you don't have someone to lease it to, you're going to get killed on them. So I want you to understand that. So let's go through this. Let's talk about let me get my mic here so people can hear me. Let's talk about the numbers on how the scaling actually looks and what's the cost and how many employees do I need, Rick? That's like one of the biggest questions I get. So the first thing you got to understand is the first phase, number one, is what works now. Okay? This is going to be your government lists, your driving for dollars, reverse driving for dollars. And you should have at least 5 deals under your belt before you even consider scaling. Does everybody follow me on that? It's so important you understand this because a lot of people try to leave one thing to go to another and they get killed on it. So if you know that, step 2, and the idea of this is going to give you basically your safe cash flow. And what do I mean by safe cash flow? At this level right here, you should be around $20K a month. Okay, it's so important you don't lose that cash flow because if it goes to 0 and you add scaling, then you're going to have cost and you're going to go broke. Ask me how I know. Step number 2 is now we are in scaling, right? So now I'm going to take what I did in number 1 and keep doing it. I'm going to keep emphasizing this overall. Then I'm going to add direct mail. How long am I going to employ direct mail? 90 days minimum. Anything less, you're wasting your time and your money in direct mail. What's my recommended starting out? Well, let's back it down to pieces. You can't do less than 1,000 pieces, and that's not going to get you far. So let's start out and say 2,500 pieces. $2,500 pieces, and it's going to run you about $1,400-1,500 a month. So here's the technique. Here's what I school everybody in direct mail. If you know you need 90 days, take 1,500 times 3. You need to budget $4,500. Why? Because I don't need you freaking out after like 30 days. I go, listen, you need to write another check to the mailing company for $1,500. Like, oh my God. Once you budget $4,500, it's easier. So do you understand why I want you to keep doing your 20K? Because if you don't, you're going to have a problem with this because you have to pay for this. The problem is you are going to net less. So take 20 minus, let's just call it 5. Now your bank account's down to 15 grand. You're like, uh-oh, I'm going backwards. No, listen, here's how scaling looks, guys. When you've got a wholesaling business and you got 5 deals, things are going good. You think you're just going to go up forever. The reality is you're going to start to fizzle out. So when you do scaling, so say you bring in scaling here, your cash flow is going to go down. And then you're going to slowly work it up. And then you're going to get a big, big rise. You are going to have to go down to go up. I've never seen anyone who just magically exploded. It doesn't work that way. So if you understand how it works, and that's how all business really works, is on this, basically I'm going to commit to $1,500 now, $4,500. Now, if I budgeted $4,500, how much can I expect after 90 days on this? That's easy. I already gave you the cheat sheet to it. If you're going to get a 2 times return, that is going to bring us down to basically $9,000. And remember, that is just the first 90 days. Eventually, you're going to get to a 4 to 5 times return. And so if I did 4,500 times 4, 4,500 times 4, that's going to give me 18K. And if I add another one on there, that would be plus 4,500, basically 18 to 22K. That's what we want to target. So keep in mind, this is a running total. If I have 20 there and say I get 18, now I'm making close to 40K a month. All right, we're scaling, we're growing. This is how it's working. Do you understand this? So now we got to move on to technique number 3. And say you're going to do the JV partner. Now, remember, I already told you go to RIAs, go to all your other stuff, so you can take care of that. And on the JV partner, you should easily find another 20K. It's not going to start off in 20K, but in 3 to 6 months, you get 5 grand, you get 10, you get 15. And now we're going to add this to our scaling. So let's keep a running budget here. 20, we're going to add 40, and then you're going to, so 20 plus 40, 60. Now we're around 80K a month. We're going to talk about times and we're going to talk about employees after this. Now, let's move over to technique number 4. What if I come across great creative financing deals? Can I do them? Absolutely. I don't want this to be your sole starting out because there is a learning curve here. Ask anyone who does creative financing. There is a learning curve. This can't be the first way you start out. If you don't have help, you're going to get killed. The reality is we're talking about doing subject twos. Can't spell today. Lease options. I mean, there's so many. I could go on and on and do 10 hours on this. Why? Because I've been doing this 21 years. I've seen every technique. To try to learn this all in like an hour is hard to do. So once we do that, we can basically simply add another 20K. It's not going to happen overnight, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of people that need help where you're the only solution. You just have to provide them the solution and you have to learn how to do it. And guys, that brings us to our grand total of, 100K a month. $20 plus 40 plus 20 plus 40. We get 20, 40, 60. Add the JV, that's 80 plus another 20 there. It's 100K. Now, here's what you got to understand. This is not an overnight get rich quick scheme. This is going to take time. On average, how much time should this take me? And Rick, what does it look like for like employees? I am so glad you asked that. And so let's start on over here. I love these old school whiteboards, although my mom says I should have been a doctor with my handwriting, but you guys know how I did with school. So let's think about this. What is the time frame? So to get your first 5 deals, let's be honest, most of you guys are 6 to 12 months now. Are there exceptions and superstars? Yeah. But remember, I need you to be a marathon wholesaler, not just a sprinter. Sprinters look good for a season. They look good for 3 to 6 months, and then you never see them again. I know a million gurus that run this way. Why? Because they just took the quick cash. They don't want to stick around 21 years and like really help people out. They just want to get that cash and go on to their next business venture. So 6 to 12 months. Let's add direct mail. Once again, you're going to be 3 to 6 months. Okay. So this is a little bit less because you already learned this is where you learn the fundamentals. Of wholesaling. This is where you learn to scale with direct mail. So now we're between 9 to 18 months. Everybody thinks I made it overnight. I didn't. It was a long journey for me. Then I'm going to add JV partners. You can get proficient within 3 to 6 months. And then if I add creative financing, options, subject to, List goes on and on. Honestly, that's anywhere from 3 to 12 months. This is a growth period. You start out over here and you get up to 20K a month. Then I add direct mail. And if it takes me 3 to 6 months, I get that. I basically, direct mail has the biggest, fastest impact on it. And basically, you can add 40 to 60. What's the number I put down there? On direct mail is basically, what did I put? Direct mail, 40 to 60K. So I'm here to tell you, you can easily do 50K a month in direct mail. It's not going to start out like that. So now you're running at 70. I add JV. That's another 20. And then I add creative options, 20K. Now, creative financing, once you get past that 1 year mark and you really understand it, 20K is kind of a joke. Like, it's so easy to create 20K. And I'm here to tell you, what is the one scalable one? And by the way, there's other ways to scale. You can do PPC, all this other stuff. Most of it doesn't work. That's why only people that will teach you it that have basically marketing agencies and consulting companies will promote it. I will tell you right now, direct mail alone, once you master it, you can get a 5 times return and make 100K alone a month. I've done this, guys, in my sleep. Now, here's the cool part. This is one employee. This is one employee up to 50K. After that, we'll have to talk. JV partners, definitely one employee. And then creative finance is basically one employee, which is you. Now, let's talk about the scalability of where you need help. Most of you do not have this problem right now, and I want you to understand that. So you go out and you instantly start hiring people. Until you sniff an 80K month on a consistent basis, don't consider hiring someone. You're wasting your time. The reality is you have to generate cash flow, and you got to understand the fundamentals of wholesaling. So here's the reality is, you could do 6. Well, I'm going to go a little bit lighter. 500 to 650K in wholesaling with one employee with your eyes shut. Sorry, guys, that's the truth. So unless you're grossing 650K, I don't want to hear about hiring employees. If you have someone that's helping you with marketing and they're not expensive and they're contributing massively to your bottom line, that is my exception. When I say employees, I'm talking about people working in an office that are specifically working for you. If you have a 1099 contracted employee, knock yourself out, because you don't really owe them anything if you let them go. And they should be contributing to your bottom line, and it'd be some sort of commission or distribution when you do that. Now, here's where people get lost. From 651 to 1.2 million is usually going to have to add one additional employee. Now, I don't use the word employee because most of you are going to call them a 1099. And this is a person that pays off the profitability of your company. These are going to be salespeople. I don't really call them salespeople, but I call them marketing helpers. Anyone that helps you marketing your list. And eventually, this is where you can bring in someone to do acquisitions to help you out. Once you're at 1.2 million, you're going to have to add people because you're going to run out of time and energy. This is pretty much where I hit the cap, and it's like there's only so much you can do because there's not enough hours in the day to do it. Now, here's the really cool part. From 1.2 to basically 4.5, which I found is the kind of the number, you can do this with a very small team of scalability. How do I know that's it? Here's where most people get in trouble. So if we know the time frame and we know the size, you can do it from one employee, which is you. You can add another employee approaching the second half of 650K. And then once you get at the once you clear the $1 million marker, bring somebody in to help you out. Like, I'll make it simple. I did 1.2 all by myself. all by my lonesome. Actually higher than that, but that's what was documented on my tax return when I did it. And you've got to understand. But here's the dream you're all being sold right now. Let me teach you how to do 10 to $15 million in gross. Okay. Here's the truth, guys. The amount of people that do this number in wholesaling, they're slim to none. I'm not saying there's not people out there to do it, but like say, even if you do this and this is their target, because remember, all real estate's local. So there's only the more you scale, the margins get tighter. Does everybody understand that? And when I get to this, so if someone grosses 10 mil, the reality is 5 mil is going to come off for costs, marketing, everything. So now let's just say that leaves 5 million. And say they got another $1 million of referral fees, commissions and stuff, 4 million. Well, guess what? What if you have like 3 or 4 partners, which a lot of them do? So if I take 4 million and I divide it by 3 partners, what's that give me? And this is the typical case I see. 4 million divided by 3 partners is each partner gets 1.3. Remember, this is before taxes or anything else. Remember, they have overhead, they have a lot of costs. And the thing is, they're working in an office. And you know what they're doing? They're doing exactly what they said they would never do. I don't want to be prisoned by an office and enslaved and reporting to the office at 7 a.m., leaving at 6 p.m., and spending no time with my kids or anything. I've done this. You can do it. It's just not me. I don't teach it. Why? Because less than 3% of the people will ever even see this. The reality is $10 to $15 million. Unless you're doing high-end luxury real estate, the question is, what do you take home at the end of the day? I know exactly what I take home today. I make a ton of money. If you have to wait to talk to your accountant to find out how much money you made, you're doing the business wrong. I don't want to go into an office and just grind every day where I have to take long vacations. You know what I want to do? I want to go out and I'd show you the picture, but I don't have it. I like to go fishing. So if I want to go fishing, I'm going to go fishing. My business still operates. I still have employees, but I run a small team. 4 to 5 is really the max I've ever seen anybody need in wholesaling. Past that, anything past that, I guarantee it all comes down to coaching and like guru sales. I'm not knocking it. It's just the truth, guys. This is the truth of the business. And if you understand this, you understand what I'm talking about in scaling. So we always talk about, I'm telling you this right now, direct mail alone, once you master it and get to that 4 to 5 times the return, and I've seen it much higher, but on a consistent basis, I'm 4.5 to 5. That's $100K a month. If you add all the other things you add up to, you can easily do $150K a month. Do the math on that. That puts you just below $2 million. And remember, at the end of the day, it's about what you keep, the freedom of time you have. If you don't have freedom of time, if you go, I'm going to work so hard so in 10 years, I don't have to do anything. Well, what's it going to cost you? You're going to lose your sanity? Are you going to miss your kids growing up? That's what my father did to me. He's a regular salesman. I decided to turn that upside down with wholesaling. And here's the beauty of it. You can do whatever you want with it. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just telling you the reality is most people, if they can make if you can make 5 to 600K and work with a very small team and have complete freedom of your time, knock yourself out of it because you can leverage that into assets. And through the ridiculous thing of inflation going on in the United States, you can turn that into $10, $15 million with your eyes shut. End of story, guys. That's why wholesaling businesses are not for sale, and you need to understand that. So how many employees do you need? Start out with you and you only first, then find people that will add incredible value to your team. Start out with 1099s. And then maybe once you crack the 1.2, 1.5 million, you can have a full-time employee. Remember, you got to pay FICA, you got to pay Social Security, you got to pay Medicare, and then you can have an office to have them report in. And I hate sitting in a corporate office because I go out to my sellers and that's all we need to understand. So guys, this is everything you need to know on scaling. End of story. Like, what's the average time frame to get you up truly scaling? It's usually a minimum 2 years. Now, if you can follow someone's system and do it, that's great. But keep in mind, There is more gurus out on the internet want to show you a system. You got to come out. You got to fly out. Listen, I've done all this stuff. Find out what's true to your heart, what you want to do. That's what I love about wholesaling. You can personalize it to whatever you want to accomplish. I did it so I could spend more time with my kids. And the payoff I got of running a business full pledge with my son, my wife helps us out. Maybe I could recruit my daughter. You got to say a good word in it. To me, I don't know how much that's worth to me. It's worth a lot of money because guess what? My son's going to push the business forward long after I'm not here. And I enjoy this stuff, so I can come back and talk to you guys. And I don't think you can put a price on that. And that's what people don't understand. You can't put a price on time. If you constantly have to grind 5-6 days a week and you have no time and you go, listen, this will pay off in 10 years, that's your decision. I just don't subscribe to that theory. I did that with corporate America. It sucked. That's why I love wholesaling. There is no one way to do things. I just have an opinion. And if you guys gravitate towards me, that's phenomenal. And I want you to do it. So how do we get started in wholesaling to do all this stuff? It's real simple. Go over to freewholesaling.com. Get started there, guys. This is how you get going. And it is that simple. So if we know that, then what are you waiting for? Go get it. It is up to you to do that. So let's go through and do some questions. I'll jump on the lives here. I see. So hopefully you guys are networking in the comments. I'm doing this solo. So you guys know Zach is out this week. He is recovering. He is now out of the hospital. He's recovering at home. He can't talk. So it's kind of an odd. So he got a tonsillitis and he's recovering. He'll probably go through the weekend and he should be back hopefully next week. So everybody who wished him well, I appreciate it as his father and my business partner, but sometimes we have to heal and repair. So you guys are sending him tons of messages. So I promise you he'll be back. So you guys are pretty much answered. So Umberto put on, I'm a truck driver who's home every weekend and want to get started in this venture. Any tips on how to start? Start. Just start. Stop overthinking it. We all have parameters. Either we have timing constraints, money constraints, or mental constraints. You got to find a way to unleash them. Go over to freewholesaling.com and get started. It's never going to get easier as time goes on. The longer you wait, it's like, you ever rip off that Band-Aid really slow? It's like, just rip the damn thing off. And I'm telling you, just rip that Band-Aid off and go. Being a truck driver, you have some luxury of, you get a lot of time on the road and you can easily do follow-up calls. So it's up to you. So, all right. I'm going to see some people going to hop on the live here and let us jump over and see if we can do that. Where is it? Where is it? Okay. Juan, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, Rick? I'm
How you
glad to
doing?
be here. Pretty good, man. How about yourself?
I'm fantastic, man. What's going on? What can I help you out with?
So, man, I've been trying to get on live here for a while. I'm having some issues. So I was in the corporate, sales for a while, and I just, I took the plunge back in late August.
Mm-hmm.
So I had some money saved up, and I went full time. So August and September, I hit a big deal. Like late September, I hit 25K. Uh, th-
Awesome.
I'm in Southern California, LA area, Orange County to be
Yeah.
specific. And obviously, it wasn't working for me here back then. And then I started listening to you guys, and obviously, I realized why. So I did, finish the course, pick a market, a virtual market, and I was nervous. I was super nervous because I went from a steady paycheck to not getting anything for almost a month and a half, and I closed it. So I'm like, the proof of concept was there. I was doing high equity and the dialer. So then I hit that 25K, kept marketing, didn't get anything. And then December, I was like, all right, well, high equity is not working. Did it for a couple of months and I started doing probates. And I was looking at all your stuff for probates and it worked because I landed a deal in why I signed the contract in December and it didn't close because of Christmas. So it closed in January.
Mm-hmm.
So kept doing the marketing with, in that timeline, I didn't stop marketing. I kept doing high equity, started getting, code violations. And this is in Tulsa, Oklahoma, by the way.
Got it.
So I started doing high equity, started doing code violations, water shut off, reverse driving for dollars because I had somebody there. So we pulled that list, did pre foreclosures, pretty much everything, every list that you guys suggested. So I closed that deal in January. Had a couple deals fall through, and then around that February mark, I started realizing that cold calling was just slowing down dramatically, and I'm doing it about minimum 6 hours to 8 hours a day.
Got it.
So I'm like kind of stuck in cold calling jail, what you guys were talking about last time. And ever since then, I haven't been able to lock up anything. And I've been doing all those lists, the specialty lists. So I did close another one, a small one. So ever since August, I mean, I've closed about 50,000 in commissions.
Mm-hmm.
But since February, man, I haven't not like since late January, I haven't closed anything, and I've tried every list, every specialty list, and I'm kind of stuck there, and I've been, I'm living in Orange County, which is not cheap, so it's getting to me because the cold calling. I did talk to Zach like about a month ago,
Yeah.
and my call rate was down. It was down to like about 8.59%. So it went
Mm-hmm.
up in a month to 14. So I fixed some stuff, but I haven't had any success with it for basically three months now.
Okay. So what's the question?
So my question is, obviously doing all the specialty lists and basically, hammering it out, myself. I mean, it was working before. I have 3 deals under my belt, and now I'm not even. I'm getting maybe 2, 3 leads a week.
So
So
how are the probates going?
the probates, I'm working on one right now. That I got from back in January. So that one's I'm working on a couple, 2 of them to be specific. I'm
Mhm.
actually going to do a follow up call with her right now. So that one's on the works. But my whole thing is, the cold call, the majority of my marketing with calling, cold calling, it just took a dive the last 4 months. I mean, I'm getting maybe 3 leads a week, and I'm calling 6 hours every day, 7 hours sometimes, 8 hours sometimes,
So you're using
minimum
the
six.
dialer?
I'm using a dialer. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not disputing your facts.
No,
Like
no, no. No,
you've
I
got
know.
the moxie to do it. So
Yeah.
here's the reality is, um, you need to get one more deal under your belt and commit at least half that money to some sort of scalable event so you don't
Okay.
lose your mind because you're going to burn out, dude. You ain't going to make
I'm
it.
I'm I'm burned out right now.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not gonna
know.
lie.
So today I talked about like the different levels of scaling.
Yeah, I
I
was watching
told
the
you
whole
the
thing.
easiest part of it and the scariest part of it is direct mail. There's a way to do it and do it correctly. You can do it on your own. I teach you how to do it.
Yeah.
And but you got to make a commitment. Most people go in direct mail like, okay, I got 30 days. If it doesn't work out, I'm like going back to work. Don't
Nah,
do it.
man.
It's not going to work. It's 90 days. Figure out how much you can dedicate to it and take 3 months. That's what it takes. And
Well,
if you consistently do it, it builds. You got to know
right.
how to talk to people before you
Mhm.
do direct mail or you're going to get killed. You got to be willing to answer your phones live. You'll appreciate it because you're tired as crap of calling people, doing outbound. So when inbound comes in, you're really excited because it's so much easier. You just have to answer your phones live.
Yeah.
When
No,
that sun's
definitely.
up, you got to be able to answer a phone. If you can't do it, don't do it. And the idea is if you can take whatever you invest direct mail in 90 days, turn it into a 2 times return, like my job's done. After that, you get really good at it and you go to 3 times, 4, 4.25, 4.5, and then 5 times. And we do it all the time.
Right.
You can do it on your own. I don't hide this stuff from you,
No,
but
you
is
don't.
it risky and scary? Yeah, it's a little bit. You also got to start considering, do you have the right market too? That's another conversation.
Yeah.
And because you understand, you can pivot when you're doing virtual markets. And
Mhm.
I don't know if you're in a market where there's just not much. Do I think there's better markets out there? That's not fair to say. I'd have to look at all your data.
Yeah.
So you can do this on your own. You can join me at Flip with Rick Plus, and we do like a partner mentorship on it, where like I spend specialty time with you, show you how to pull these lists, how to do everything.
Mhm.
But you basically partner on the first roughly 3 deals with me on it.
Yeah, man.
That's
Because
it.
right now. I mean, and this is personal because I know you've felt the way I felt. I mean, I don't have kids, but I want to have kids soon.
Yeah.
And it was rolling good, for a while, and I'm used to having that check, coming in every single
Yeah. Well,
week, and the thing is, it was working out and everything like that.
so
So
Juan, let me ask you this. Do you
yeah,
live by yourself? Who do you live with?
I live with me and my wife,
I got it.
so
Okay.
she's helping me, like she's supporting me, like with everything, so she's very, very supportive.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of, I'm in that spot where it's just like, man, nothing's working out with this, and I mean, I'm committed, because that's why I was like, I'm not gonna come to a live until I'm like, hey, Rick, I did every single list, I did it for 3 months, nothing's working. I want to come with actual facts,
Well, listen, like I'll challenge you to say you did every list. I can guarantee you haven't done every list.
Well,
I'm gonna be on like
most. Let
it
me rephrase
feels like it, but like I could run through it. I promise you I can find holes.
that. Yeah,
I
most.
would do a deep dive into look at other markets if you were going to do a scalable event, because I
Mhm.
do believe you have the ability to talk to people. Um, direct mail works, and direct mail was one of the keys that I didn't get completely buried in this business. So I did door
Mm,
to door for the first year. That's all I did. Pre
yeah.
foreclosures, I was close. Then I added code violations, and I kept adding on the list. And then I go, man, I'm just like tired of doing this crap. And that's why I had direct mail. It was a year and a half of complete frustration. I lost my ass.
Yeah.
I just figured out what worked and what didn't work. And I had people that
Uh,
charged me a lot of money. It was so frustrating. So decide what you do. Look at your market first. Number
okay.
two, I think you should consider doing some sort of scalable event. Direct mail would be the easiest one to do because
Yeah.
that's the only one you can really do virtually. You can't do paid per click, all that other stuff. You can do
Yeah.
digital bandit signs. It's going to require a lot of time and do that.
Pay per click sucks, man. Pay per
Oh,
click
it's
sucks.
terrible. Like
Yeah.
right
It's
now, they are
terrible.
the worst. In my opinion, they're the worst, most expensive leads you can get,
Yeah.
and they done for you pay per lead. The PPL, it's even 10 times worse.
No, it's trash.
These
It's
marketers are
trash.
trying to find ways just to take money out of all you guys' pockets. So you got to get smart about it. Listen, go check out. Have you looked at mailingmastery.com?
I have
Yeah, I don't sell anything on there, guys. Like it's
no,
not a
no, you
sales
don't. You
funnel.
don't.
It's like go in
I
there.
like it. I like
And
it.
then
I
if you
mean,
want to do the next level, join Flip with Rick Plus. You get additional like time with me, and I put
well,
you through a marketing worksheet. And then if you want to go from there, we have a program in there. We do like partnerships, but the thing is, you got to get better at each stage. That's why I don't
mhm,
start off in the beginning offering everyone like come work with me. You've got to
yeah,
learn the fundamentals of wholesaling. You're kind of on the edge, getting ready to jump
yeah.
off the cliff, and you're freaking out a little bit. And I get it. So
No,
I
I'm
would
not.
look at I would
I'm not jumping off the cliff. I'm riding this to burns down, man.
I know. So I would look at your market because you have the ability, if you're going to shift, now
Yeah.
would be the time. And be
Okay.
honest with yourself. How did you pick out the current your market you're working right now?
How did I pick it out?
Yeah.
I did some market analysis back in July, when one of the videos, and it showed, the cash sales and basically what was happening, and it was pretty good. Like I said, it
Yeah.
was pretty decent, but I mean, I've talked to other wholesalers in the area, and they're not doing so great either. So I mean, that kind of, like,
Okay.
me personally being
So
there, and then
look
everything else.
deeply in your market. Look at mailingmastery.com deep. I even
Okay.
tell you the vendor to go to and everything to do it. I tell you
Yeah.
where I developed the ROS postcard because I had my mail company fund it, do the algorithms for it. Like it's expensive as crap, and they host everything on it, and you can customize anything you do with that. And then if you listen, it's not a requirement. Joining Flip with Rick Plus would give you a little bit more guidance to kind of get through some of the stuff, but it's not
Yeah.
required.
Well,
You guys go
I've
to
been wanting to.
freewholesaling.com and get it going, but like you need to really take some accountable action. I'm not telling you write me a $10,000 check. I'm just telling you to make some sort of commitment that where you can connect with us on a weekly basis. Like this morning, I sat down
Yeah.
2 hours. I go through everyone's questions to DM. I just don't know any other gurus that can do that. How
Not at
long I
all.
can do that? I don't know. I'm committed through this year, and then we'll go
Well,
from
let
there.
let me ask you this, Rick. I've been trying to join. I saw the wait list. I mean,
Yeah.
I was trying to join, like,
So
like last night.
So it's a funny thing you talk about the wait list. So the Flip with
Yeah.
Rick, we've gone through a massive learning curve on how to scale, how we can help people out. without just jacking you guys with a giant bill. Because once I jack you with a giant bill, money solves all the problems on the back end. But
Right.
I want to be fair and help out as many as people as possible. People in the beginning will flip, they're like, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out. I go, screw that.
Yeah.
Let's
No,
create a
no.
waiting list. I only want people that want to take incredible amounts of action because I just don't think they realize what a great opportunity is.
It really is.
Since we've done the wait list, I kid you not, I'm 2,000 people deep. And so
Jesus.
here's what we do. So we're still testing and learning. We're going to make a couple more changes when we open it up. So when someone comes out, like, oh, I don't want to pay it anymore. Like it's guys, it's nominal money. It's less than your software services.
Yeah.
It's 4 times a week plus our DM. I just can't. And like, we're the only people that let you do it as you go along. And if you do a deal with us, it's free. My God, because I want you to win. So how do I win? I got to teach you, but you're like, we are a different type of teacher. Like we tell you hard stuff. I've had people cry on there. I have people get upset. It is what I have people leave it because they just can't handle it. You guys need the truth because when you pay someone 10 grand, you ain't getting the truth for 3 to 6 months. And then they're going to tell you the hard thing after all the payback periods are gone and there's like no chargeback. Then they go, listen, I don't know if you're cut out for this business. I tell people all the time, I don't think you really want to do it. I'm not going to do the work for you. So when it comes open and you get an email that says, hey, listen, now's your opportunity to join. We open it, I think, for 24 hours. That's it. And then we close it. And I've had no problem since doing that because I find the people that want to, everybody wants to talk about doing it. But like when it opens, the people click it right there. I know they're the ones I want to work with. And I don't know how long I'm going to do it. I might shut the whole damn thing down for a year. We'll see. And so it started off kind of wanky and weird. We had a lot of issues and we had problems with our servers, with our vendors. And then I go, this is getting absolutely nuts. So we're trying to create a community that's responsible and everyone's respectful. And I got more people in Flip with Rick Plus doing deals with each other and it works out really well. So look at your market first, study direct mail and understand it, like figure out how you need to do it. And then you're going to have to take action on it and then decide which market you're going to go forward with. And then if Flip with Rick Plus comes open, take advantage of it. Cause like when I threw out Flip with Rick Plus at the beginning, I put a ridiculous price on it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like, they just thought it was like, they just like everything else. Oh my God, like it can't be this good. I'm like, well, I've been told our community is just like any other program you join for $8,000 to $10,000 without the price tag.
No, and I respect you for that. I respect your honesty, and I respect Zach's honesty too, because you guys tell it how it is.
But we're not going anywhere. Like
no, and this is the one thing, and I'll tell you this from the beginning. I was so busy with my marketing and everything, and I saw the price, and I was like, well, I already know enough. That was my and I'm telling you straight up, that's what I thought. I'm like, I know everything already, but yeah, man, I'm gonna join the wait list, and I really need the help. So I hope I could get in soon.
Deep dive your market and start looking at other alternatives. Sometimes you can be in the wrong market. Like you are making, to sit there and do 6 hours cold call. I'm not questioning like your work ethic. Like that's usually what I'm going after people for.
Yeah.
We just got to make sure we're concentrating it in the right areas to give you the best. And there's a little bit of learning curve every time you switch market. And I understand the hesitation for it, but if you're going to start spending like real directive money towards marketing, you got to make sure you're in the most confident market that you can make it happen. So start there and then just work backwards, just like I told you. You got it.
Hey, thanks, Rick.
Okay, man. I'll see you. Okay, I got one other question here. It says, Heather says, hey, Rick, I'm a landscaper and a house cleaner. I hear a lot of motivated clients trying to sell their homes. How do I even start a conversation with them? Just go over to freewholesaling.com. We'll teach you how to connect with sellers. And once you get a good connection, you got to find people that need to sell their house, not people that want to sell their house. Once you understand that distinction, it's actually very simple. Go over to freewholesaling.com. I love the question. So let's jump on. Ivy, there?
Yes, I'm here. Hopefully you can hear me.
Long time no talk.
I know. Hopefully you can hear me this time. Everything good?
I can hear you, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I just had a couple questions. I'm kind of going through what Juan's going through. I'm thinking about changing markets, and I was just wondering when would be a good time to just like, hey, I need to just get out of this market and try a different one. Because
when's the last time you did a deal in that market?
I haven't done any. I'm still looking for my first one. I have a property under contract right now, but I'm going to have to cancel on it
Got it.
And I was going to ask you about that. If I got something written up like to cancel the contract. Do they need to sign that too, or?
Well, it depends on which contract you used. If you have an inspection period in your contract and you're within that inspection period clearly, then
Right.
you send them a cancellation. I would start with an email, possibly a text, and worst thing you can do, the hardest one is a certified piece of mail because it takes time and a little bit of money. But
Right.
that's the order I would send a cancellation in. Be respectful because some people don't expect it. Some people almost expect it and do it from there. But how long you been working that market for?
Since January, pretty much.
So you can private message me what the market is, or you can say it out loud. I don't care which one you want to do. I'm just curious. If you want to, I do the private message.
Yeah. I don't know if you got that or not.
Yeah. So how did you pick that market?
I live about an hour away from it. So anytime I need to drive for dollars, I can go there. And it fits a lot of cities have over 50,000 population around that area. And the county alone is over 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why.
I don't know anything about that market directly, but I know you're in a decent area. You're not in California. You're not in New York. So I would even question if that's even like virtual. That would just be extended local.
Right.
How many miles away from that are you?
And it's about 70.
Yeah. So that's what we call extended local. So what I would do is just do a widespread search and find the one you're going to have the most confidence. And listen, once you're outside of 50 miles, you can go anywhere. Like that's just the reality of it. So what's your method of operation? How do you connect with your sellers?
I do a lot of reverse driving for dollars. And when I'm at home, I connect with them through the SMS text messaging. And
so you have to make a decision like how you want to do this, because you either got to do virtual or local. I'd still say what you're doing is local. And I would look at in all the outlying counties, which ones that maybe we're missing something or there's some future growth to go to. Because in this amount of time, if you haven't got like one deal taken down, I'm either you're doing the wrong technique or you have the wrong market, or it could be a combo of both.
Right.
But like that's the beauty of, I know it's not technically virtual marketing, but like I call you local extended. Listen, guys, I've done markets and failed. I didn't do anything wrong. We just in the wrong place. I took somewhat of a stab at a guess and it didn't work out. So sometimes you just got to kind of move on. And then when I go into other markets, I do what I call kind of testing. So if I know I referred to the show Gold Miners because I never found a program where they spend $20, $30 million in machinery and employees to make $1 million. To me, that just like, that's even 5 million, the number that like the return's still very low. Their return is a virtual reality show. But the reality is when they want to like excavate a place for gold, the smarter route is to do test holes, because it costs millions of dollars to pull all that ground up, the gas, the fuel, the employees. So they have a company just do test holes. And what you do is you just take a test, and your test is maybe it's 10 days or 14 days. If you can't find gold in that amount of time and you've tested it hard, move on to another market.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, we are somewhat guessing. You have to look at the average median price, the average days on market, the inventory in the area. Guys, inventory is low across real estate. It is nuts right now. And we thought we'd be long out of this, and like we're back into it again. So I would look at all the data, but like, and then I talked to Juan earlier, you have to test. I like to test for 10 to 14 days. If I can't find a nugget of gold in 2 weeks and like I went all in, I don't want to spend 6 months in this market. Now, you have to be more aggressive. The best testing you can do is cold calling and a combo of SMS. But SMS has its challenges, as you know. Mm-hmm. So the only thing I can stress to you before you dive into the next one and leave that one is make sure you do some testing beforehand.
I am close on a commercial property right now. We looked at it over the weekend, and there's dangerous property. So the city had left them a note and stuff like that. So we're waiting what the city what they expect out of the building. But the person lives out of state, and he understands what the building is going through, and he's just waiting to hear what the city says, and he's willing to work with us to make sure we get a good investment. So,
keep in mind, you can always still keep doing your local marketing. You're just going to have to streamline it a little bit better because you haven't got great results. and you
Right.
could add a virtual market. And that to me is the best combo. I never leave doing like my local market, even if you're in like San Fran.
I will say this: when I go reverse driving for dollars, I do see some sticky notes on some of them doors.
I know. Well, I'm sorry about that. Me and Zach apologize in advance. So
no, I think it's cool. I'm like, hey, somebody's out here doing what I'm doing, but I still leave my sticky note. Hopefully they choose.
Okay, I just start with those techniques I started there, and then hop back on the live. I'm going to be back on Thursday and or next week, and I can hear the update what you're doing.
All right, thank you.
Okay, man, I'll see you. So, guys, keep in mind, those of you waiting for Flip with Rick Plus, we have a long waiting list. I am clicking the button this week, probably the next day or two. If it comes available, you want in, get in, because I only have a limited amount of people I'm going to let in. I'm not giving you a sales pitch. It's 2,000 people deep. Those of you that I talk to that are like waiting to get into it, stop waiting around. Like, I want to work with the people that are most serious about it because I can help you out the most. So if you get an email that says, hey, listen, we have an opening in Flip with Rick Plus, I would jump on it, or I don't want to hear excuse because I send it to people and they never take action. If you don't take action after a while, we're going to scrub you off the waiting list. So I would love to work more with you. Those of you that are waiting for Flip with Rick Plus, give me a couple minutes, because after this live stream, we jump over and help everybody on Flip with Rick Plus. I would love to see you there, guys. Guys, go out there and get the deals. You can scale your deals. Remember, don't stop doing what works. I appreciate you guys. Guys, if you got value from this, do me a favor, smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button so more people can find the truth in wholesaling. Me and Zach appreciate you. And guys, I will see you live Thursday at 1 p.m. We have a really cool topic. I'll see you then, guys. And Flip with Rick Plus, I'll see you guys in like 3 or 4 minutes. See you guys. Have a good one.